Hey, my name is Scott McDonald, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to do a reversão. A reversão is a trick that comes from capoeira. It's actually pronounced reversão, but I'm not going to be that guy, so for this tutorial, reversão. A reversão is a combination of a touchdown hook kick and a front walkover. It doesn't require as much flexibility as a regular vertical front walkover, so don't let that scare you off. But the end result is this 45-degree looking thing. Before we get started, just warm up, stretch out your hips, your wrists, your shoulders, and your back. Because the reversão lands in this weird, twisted, one-legged, one-foot bridge position, before we start, just try turning your hand like so and shifting to one arm in a bridge, and then rocking your weight back and forth until it feels feasible to stand up and to control going up and down. If you can't quite do this on the floor yet, it's okay. Just put your hand on a raised surface and do the same rocking motion until it feels natural. The first thing we're going to do is simply step across 180 degrees with your right foot, and then follow that motion with your left foot stepping 180 degrees. When you do the actual trick itself, you're not going to travel along a line, you're simply going to stay put, but it's important to maintain your circular momentum and to understand which steps happen first. Once it feels natural to do the right foot then the left foot step, all you're going to do is add both hands to the ground. So as you step across with your right, you're going to put both hands on the floor and look at your imaginary opponent between your legs. Once that motion feels fluid, we're going to add a kick. So now you're going to pick up your left foot and kick with the left heel as you spin across. You'll also notice that with this kick, all your weight will be in your second hand. So in this case, your right hand. It's important as you start working on this kick to think of it as a kick. You don't just want to place your foot in space and go through the motions. You want to feel this momentum because the momentum is what's going to make it possible to actually land the trick and stand back up afterwards. We're going to learn how to do the motion on a raised surface and then progressively move closer to the floor. This might seem like a waste of time, but actually you're learning how the trick feels without having to do it in the hardest possible setting. If you've ever done a tornado kick, you'll find that this feels very similar to it. But ultimately, all that's really happening is you're placing your right hand, technically both hands, but most importantly the right hand, on a block, turning your hips away from it towards the sky, and going left-right, landing on the left foot. Once you've made your way down towards floor level, you've probably discovered that the trick becomes incrementally more difficult as you get lower. Before you go for the full trick on the ground, it might help just to do a step-by-step, go through all the stages you've already done, and make sure that once your foot is raised up, you can flip your hips over and expect where the ground is going to be for your left foot as the landing leg. This inside crescent kick motion is what the ending relatively feels like. Obviously there's a bit more torque and weird angles going on with your body, but you'll notice that you arch and you kind of keep your head and your foot as far away from each other as possible, like one big lever. What you don't want to do is stick your butt out and bend at the waist. You want to keep your hips pushed forwards and use that foot and head as a counterbalance. The single most common mistake people make when they're trying to learn this is landing with their leg too far away from their arm. If your foot goes to the ground and it's way far away, you simply can't stand up. It doesn't work. The closer your landing foot comes to your base hand, the easier it's going to be to stand up. The second biggest mistake I see people make, which is also a byproduct usually of landing with your foot too far away, is to let your butt drop. You need to keep your back arched and push your hips towards the ceiling. Something that tends to contribute to dropping your butt is looking down at the floor in front of you. You want to keep your head up, look at the opponent in front of you, or even at the sky, but don't look down. Dropping your butt tends to also come with closing your chest. You can't close your chest. You need to stay open and turning towards the direction you're going. So I need to pull my left shoulder back if I'm going left. It's much easier to open your shoulder and chest and get this full range of motion and flexibility if you point your fingers somewhat towards your left hand. Make sure you keep your weight in the hand that's on the ground until your first leg is touched down and you started to shift weight to that hand. If you were to freeze frame your landing and there's neither a hand nor a foot on the ground, you're just kind of floating there, then you've blocked off your hand too early. Eventually you can do that intentionally and make this Sailor Moon reverse-out trick, but you don't want to learn it that way. You want to think of this as a slow, controlled, archy walkover rather than an explosive, violent popping trick. In this clip you can see what happens when you swing your leg too vertically. It either turns into a front walkover, or in this case, it turns into this weird Gumby thing. Make sure your leg is coming across not completely horizontally, but 45 degrees. Make sure as you land that your hips are still going to the left. It doesn't matter necessarily if you continue to pivot or if you just stay put upon landing, but it does matter that your hips aren't facing forwards, or even worse, back where you came from to the right. You can also try landing two legs at a time, but at the beginning this is sort of an intermediary. For some people it's going to be easier, for some people it's going to feel just kind of clunky, but I wouldn't recommend learning it this way. Once you have the motion down, you're going to realize that the left hand doesn't really do anything. You don't need the left hand. You could just go straight to the right hand and that's totally fine. But it doesn't work in reverse. You can't just do a left-handed left reverse out. When you do, it turns into this little, I'm not sure if I'm trying to be a helicopter or not trick, but it doesn't work. So stick with just your second hand. The ending of a helicoptero feels pretty much identical to a reversao. So if you're working on that trick as well, which I also have a tutorial for, this is gonna help. Once you have the trick down, there's some fun variations you can do. You can do it with one hand, you can do it with no hands, you can do a circle of them just like you could do a Gumby circle. Alright, that's my reverse-out tutorial. I hope you found it helpful. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment if you have anything that you feel I missed out. I want to make sure I deliver the most comprehensive tutorial as possible. So if there's something else that helped you learn, please let me know. I'd love to add it in later. If you'd like to check out what I do with my reverse-outs, check out my Instagram at Scott A. McDonald. And yeah, thank you for watching.